Some say Chinese is one of the most difficult languages in the world, and learning it is almost impossible.
So learning Chinese, the most difficult thing.
非常非常非常非常非常难
So I'm sort of tone deaf. I can't really hear them.
I think the cultural mindset is the biggest complication for
The
us.
grammar.
知吃思诗都还难
It's just complicated so much.
Only because you're not learning it in the right way. Why not try Takeaway Chinese, where you can take some Chinese away and experience progress day by day. Takeaway Chinese, we will promise you a difference.
你好，欢迎收听随行汉语 Welcome to Takeaway Chinese. I'm Yang Honglin. Joining me today, Georgia Massad. Hello, Georgia.
Hello, everyone. It's always so nice to be here.
It is great to have you here as always. And since you're from France, somewhere that is supposed to be full of fashionable people, I want to ask you this. What is your fashion taste or special, let's say, desire for fashion or special style for fashion or your personal aesthetics for fashionable clothing? Do you have a fashion type?
Actually, I do. I don't know if it actually exists, but I love colors a lot. So I go looking for many different colors and like styles that go well together, and especially in thrift shop, which is something that's going on really good here in France. I don't know in China if it's going very good as well, but it's nice to have unique clothes, but at the same time to save the environment and try not to support, well, the fast fashion industry and everything that's going with it.
That is very interesting. And actually, when it comes to fashion or fashion designers, there are different trends and different purpose. Of course, chasing after the ultimate beauty or different expressions of beauty in different people's perspective is the major task of a fashion designer or fashion clothing designer. Yet there are other purposes or other targeted that could be hit. For example, some people, to express their concern over the environment or environmental protection, would unpurposely design certain clothing out of not weird, but unconventional materials. For example, I have personally interviewed some fashion designers. They use plastic bags, packages from food deliveries, paper bags, and all these recycling stuff to design fashionable clothing and to have this catwalk or this runway show to first, show people their special taste in clothing and also raise people's awareness about the protection of environment, the importance of biodiversity. And I think that is a beautiful thing to do as well.
I think so as well. And thinking about it, just the other day, I saw a purse that was made from an artist that makes sculptures, and he makes art with plastic, and he repurposed these things he made and made a new bag completely in plastic from recycled things he did in the past. And I think that the person wearing this bag not only has a story, but has a very unique bag at the same time, that it's made of recycled plastic. This is actually really nice and fashionable.
It is definitely. So I think for today's Takeaway Chinese, our very smart listeners must have already guessed that the two keywords of today's show would be first, fashion, that is 时尚.
时尚.
Yes, that's fashion or fashionable. And the other one would be 环保.
环保.
Yes, 环 stands for 环境, that's the environment, and 保 stands for 保护, protection. So 环保, environmental protection.
环保.
Yes, and those are the two keywords of today's show. Hopefully you would have some fun and gain some interesting knowledge about the connection between environmental protection and fashion designing at the same time. So for our dear listeners, if you're interested in Chinese culture and you want to get a grasp on the Chinese language, then this is the show for you. Stick with us for 30 minutes and you soon see the rewards. And for more fun Chinese learning, follow our Facebook page, Learn Chinese, to watch many fun videos and live streams. But now, let's provide you with some free Chinese for takeaway.
你这件衣服的面料摸起来好舒服啊，是羊毛的吗？
哈哈，你绝对想不到，这件衣服是用海带做的。
真的吗？
当然，海带不仅能吃，做出的衣服还非常环保。
Okay, I have to admit, though we talked about using different materials, recycled materials to make clothes, I didn't actually imagine that out of these supposed to be quote-unquote garbage, you can actually make not only the kind of clothing that can be shown or exhibited on a special fashion show, but actually can be worn in everyday life. This is fascinating.
This is really fascinating. At the same time, one of the biggest doubts that I had, it's been solved in the dialogue, is whether the fabric would be comfortable or not on your skin. And I was really doubtful about that, actually, about repurposed fashion fabrics into clothes and whether they would not be comfortable on your skin.
Yes, we can delve into that after dissecting the sentences into words and grasp the language first. So, for the first sentence, 你这件衣服的面料摸起来好舒服啊，是羊毛吗？
The fabric of your clothes feels so comfortable. Is it made of wool?
Perfect. So, 你
your
这件
this and the nominator for clothes.
Yes, 衣服
Yīfu clothes.
So, why do we say 你这件衣服? Why don't we say 你的这件衣服?
I think it can be omitted, the.
Yes, you're totally right. It can be omitted, and actually, the way of using the in the Chinese language can be a little bit tricky. We know it can be the apostrophe s. It can be the little character you put in between the adjective and the noun. And we also know that if there are multiple, plural number of adjectives in front of the noun, then you can use either a lot of de or just one de, or you have to omit certain de. And in general, the idea is that we do not use too much de. And in general, the idea is that in, for example, one sentence or one part of a really long sentence, we do not tend to use too much de. It's just not elegant enough. Which is why here, definitely I can say 你的这件衣服的面料. But we do not want that many de, so we omit the de after 你. We say 你这件衣服的面料. Am I making sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. Also, it wouldn't be very fluent and in the conversation to have that many does.
Exactly. So in this case, we would omit the de after 你 and yes, 你这件衣服, this cloth of yours, 的面料.
面料, fabric.
Fabric. So 面 carries the meaning of surface and 料 is material. So it's like the fabric, the feeling of this material. 面料. It's a very specific word used for cloth designing or clothing, and you don't really use it in other areas. For example, if a box is made of paper and you can't really say the 面料 of the paper feels very crisp or very strong, you just don't say that. 面料 is a word specifically for clothing.
Okay.
摸起来.
摸起来, it seems at the touch.
Yes, so 摸 carries the meaning of touch. So when you touch it, 起来, we know this is the structure you see so commonly in, for example, 看起来, it seems, 听起来, it sounds. So if you add this after the verb, basically you're saying it feels, and the feeling comes from the verb or from the action of this verb.
Okay. Yes, we saw it a lot of 看起来, 听起来, never as touch, but it carries the same meaning.
Yes, 摸起来. When I touch it, it feels. It can be understood as this. 好.
Very.
舒服.
Comfortable.
Comfortable. And we have 啊 at the end of the sentence to suggest a tone of feeling. 是.
It is.
Or is it, in this case, but yes. 羊毛.
Is it? Made of sheep wool.
Yes, 羊毛 is sheep wool. 羊 is sheep and 毛 is wool or fur in certain cases. And actually, if we're talking about feather, it's 羽毛. So, you understand what this character suggests.
羽毛.
Yes, that's a feather. And 的么
made of? Question mark?
Actually, 的么 should not be seen by itself. It's 是 something something 的么. It means, is it like this? Or is it the sentence, yes, I have just said. So, for example, 他是在这里上班的吗? So, 他 he 是的吗在这里上班 work here. So, you're using 他是在这里上班的吗 is he working here? So the 是的吗 sentence structure with the question you want to ask in between these two parts can be, is this the situation I'm talking about?
Oh, okay. So only in this cases. Otherwise, it would be weird to see it alone.
Yes. So you put them together as a sentence structure.
Yes, this is very useful.
Yes. And then we have the second sentence. Haha, 你绝对想不到，这件衣服是用海带做的。
Haha, you will never guess that this piece of clothing is made from seaweed.
Yes. So, haha.
Haha, it's the laughter.
Yes, it's laughter, it's LOL, it's suggesting that I'm glad that you're asking the question.
Can I ask you a question? Can
Sure.
haha be used in text messages to laugh?
Oh, definitely. Actually, it's used in text messages or in this kind of written dialogues much more often than in real sentences or in real daily conversations because you would definitely just laugh without saying haha, like using these characters. So, yes, sure.
Oh, perfect. No, I know how to answer.
And then 你
You?
绝对
Absolutely.
Absolutely, definitely, for sure. 想不到
Would never guess.
Would never guess. Perfect translation. We know 想 is to think about. 到 is to arrive. So if you think about it and you arrived at a certain solution, that is 想到. So I am thinking about this and it's already thought about. And 想不到 means you cannot, through your thinking, arrive at that conclusion. That means you could not guess.
Okay, you will never arrive to the conclusion.
Yes, so that's 想不到. So you can say things like 放弃吧，你想不到答案. Just give up. You cannot think out or you cannot actually get the answer. 想不到.
想不到.
And 这件
this
衣服
clothes
是用
it is using.
Yes, perfect. So 用 is to use, and if you want to say something is made of other things, in Chinese, what you want to say is you use this to make this. So we don't really exactly have a direct word or just one word for made of, but we have this kind of like a structure, like use this to make. So 用 something 做, that would be use this to make. So it's basically made of.
It makes sense because it's made using seaweed, which is actually what's happening. So
yes.
It's a really nice way of saying that.
And 海带
hǎidài, seaweed.
Seaweed. Actually, 海 we know is the sea, and 带 actually is a strip-shaped stuff. So 海带, you can understand it as a strip in the sea, and I think it's, in my opinion, quite easy to imagine, and you can relate to seaweed when you think of 海带, a strip in the sea.
Yes, I have the picture in my mind of looking at the sea and seeing a little strip, green-colored.
Yes. So, 真的吗?
Really?
当然，海带不仅能吃，做出的衣服还非常环保。
Yes, seaweed is not only food, but it can also be made into eco-friendly clothing.
Yes, that's the sentence. So, 当然
Dāngrán, yes, of course.
Of course. 海带, we know it's seaweed. 不 不仅
not only.
Not only. And when we have not only, actually, the not only but also structure can be expressed in Chinese as the 不仅 something, 还 something structure, just like in the sentence. So 不仅 can also be replaced by 不但 or 不止. They all mean not only. And the 还 adding something, which is the but also part, can also be replaced by 而且. 而且 is also a but also, and 也 is like also. So you can basically pair them up as you wish to express the sentence of not only but also. For example, I can say 我不仅对排球感兴趣，还对足球也很感兴趣。
I am not only interested in volleyball, but also in soccer.
Yes, I can also say 他不仅喜欢吃中国菜，还会做几个中国菜。
He not only likes to eat Chinese food, he can make some as well.
Yeah, see, that's how you use this structure. And in the meantime, how about this supermarket not only has a wide variety of products, but also low prices?
这家超市不仅种类多，价格还不贵。
Perfect. See, 这家超市 the supermarket 不仅 not only 种类多 having a lot of different variety or wide variety of products. 价格 that's the product price 还不贵还 also not so high, not very expensive. And as you can see, when we're using the 不仅还 or 不仅而且 or 不止也 whichever way you want to pair these two words up, the thing is you should normally always put the subject at the beginning of the sentence.
Oh, okay, perfect. And so it should be at the beginning of the sentence.
Exactly. So we have 海带 in the sentence in the conversation as the subject. 不仅 not only 能吃.
Not only can be used to eat.
Perfect. We know in Chinese, we do not really have a passive tone. Either it's active or passive. You use the same verb. And we know 吃 is eat. And here 能吃 can be eaten. And 做出的.
做出的 it can be made into.
So we know 做 is to make. And 出 is to get out. We know 出口 is the exit, so out. So 做, when you're making something and the outcome is the 做出的 something. So 做出的 would be 海带做出的 something. So 海带做出的衣服. That's the clothing made out of seaweed. 海带做出的菜, the dish made out of seaweed. So made out of 做出的. And here 衣服 is clothing. And 还 is the other part of the sentence structure, the 不仅还 sentence structure. 非常
very extremely.
环保
eco-friendly, environmental friendly.
Yes, we know 环境 environment 保护 protection. So 环保 would be environmental protection, but environmental in this sentence. So that's the conversation. Do you have any questions?
Actually, not. You answered all my questions. It's such a nice conversation.
Great, then let's give it a go. I'll start. 你这件衣服的面料摸起来好舒服啊，是羊毛的吗？
哈哈，你绝对想不到，这件衣服是用海带做的。
真的吗？
当然，海带不仅能吃，做出的衣服还非常环保。
Great! You're listening to Takeaway Chinese with myself, Niu Honglin, and Georgia. We would love to hear from you. Send us your thoughts via email to learnchinese@cri.com.cn. Coming up next, let's talk about biodiversity and the importance of biodiversity. Don't go away, so you will take some Chinese away. Welcome back to Takeaway Chinese. I'm Niu Honglin, joined by Georgia. We promised to talk about biodiversity. So first of all, do you know how to say biodiversity in Chinese?
No, how do you say biodiversity?
It is 生物多样性。
生物多样性.
Yes, so literally, 生物 is creature, and 多样性 is diversity. So 多 means a lot, 样 type, 性 is like making this subject a noun kind of character. So 多样性 means the character or the trait or the distinct feature of 多样, of having a variety of. So 多样性 actually is diversity. So biodiversity, 生物多样性 basically is creature diversity, 生物多样性。
生物多样性。
Yes. So for those of you who do not know, can Georgia explain to us why is biodiversity important?
Well, biodiversity is very important, and even if we don't realize it and we don't live it in first place, because maybe we live in cities where we don't have that big of a biodiversity, it is extremely important for us, and it's one of the reasons why we're in such a good health and everything is fine. And having very different species, whether of trees or animals, insects, is extremely important one to another, and they coexist together in order to live in the healthy environment that we are in. And if one of these species, even the ones that seem less important to us, is extremely important, and the others can't work the same way without the other one. This is why preserving biodiversity, even in large cities and not only in the countryside, is very important to us and the environment we live in.
Definitely. Actually, if we think about it, human beings or human species is always one part of the broader ecosystem, broader Earth system. We cannot really survive on ourselves. And there are a lot of benefits if we do have biodiversity. For example, biodiversity sustains various ecosystem services that are essential for human well-being. For example, pollination. Many crops and wild plants rely on pollinators such as bees, butterflies, and birds for reproduction. For water purification, wetlands and forests help filter and purify water, contributing to clean drinking water resources. And as for climate regulation, for example, forests and oceans play a crucial role in regulating climate by absorbing and sorting carbon dioxide. And definitely, when it comes to genetic resources, biodiversity serves as a reservoir of genetic diversity, which is essential for breeding progress aimed at developing more resilient and productive crops, livestock, and different types of species. And wild relatives of cultivated plants often contain genes that confer resistance to pests, diseases, and environmental stresses.
Yes, it's something we don't realize it that biodiversity it's useful for many things, also for medicinal resources, where a significant proportion of pharmaceutical drugs are actually derived from natural resources that include plants, animals, and other microorganisms.
And definitely, that is why we have a lot of different days and different celebrations or observations on different days to stress the importance of protection of biodiversity. And for example, we do have a 生物多样性日 on the 22nd of May. That is the Biodiversity Day. On that day, there are multiple celebrations or activities or events held around the world, and a lot of cities in China, of course, that stress the importance of biodiversity and raise people's awareness in protecting the environment that is shared by different species on Earth.
This is so nice, and it's very important to raise awareness concerning biodiversity, since many species, whether of animals or plants, are actually threatened. We heard a lot talking about bees, but not only. And it's important to think, even if we live in big cities and we don't realize it, as you said before, we live in such a vast ecosystem, and we breathe and can carry on our daily activities because so many different species are working, not for us, but they are helping us in our daily tasks.
Yes, and gradually we see different projects around the world helping people preserve this environment or ecosystem for different species. For example, in Yunnan province in China, where there's a major habitat for Asian elephants, local people try to figure out better ways to protect the area that the elephants need to live better, but also in the same time try to find a better way to coexist with the elephants, because yes, people live there as well, and they need to conduct farming activities, and they need to maintain a life. They need to support their families as well. So there are different nice projects happening in this area. For example, they realize instead of conducting heavy farming activities, what they actually can do is to raise some bees and harvest honey in that area so that they do not have to have conflict with the elephants living there. And through all these nice and lovely projects, people in different area in the world, especially those who are coexisting with local wildlife, are trying their very best to preserve the environment for both human activity and wildlife activities.
I love this. It's very important to, as you rightly said, to go on with our activities, of course, our economical ones, but still to preserve a natural habitat for either animals or not, and do not let them get extinct. I feel like, as you rightly said, there's more consciousness regarding this, regarding biodiversity, and a lot of projects and very nice ones are being put up too.
Yes, and that is why in Chinese we have this word 和谐共处.
和谐共处.
和谐 is harmony or harmonious. 共 means together, and 处 相处, get together, deal with each other, hang out together, can all be represented by the character 处. So 共处 means coexist. So 和谐共处, it's basically saying coexisting harmoniously.
和谐共处.
Yes, and I think that is a nice word to summarize this episode. I'm Yoholin with Georgia for the show. For more episodes of the show, you can visit our website at radio.cjtn.com and go to the column podcast. You can also listen to the show and read the script there. Find us wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Just search for Takeaway Chinese. Don't forget to leave your questions, comments, and ratings. 感谢收听，我们下次再见。
Goodbye everyone, see you soon. 再见。